and not the swag man today. I have somebody else to talk to you guys. I got my mate Jay. But first of all, we're going to do the theme song as always. I lied, Swagman's here.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I totally forgot I've got to go pick the missus up
going
today.
well.
I was sitting there thinking that she had the car, and I was like, she sent me a message saying, "Don't forget, you got to pick me up." I was like, "Oh damn!" So I quickly raced from outside, had a shower, got the concrete off me, and now I've got to bolt all the way up to Rocky to pick the missus up.
Oh, well,
So
as mentioned before, Swagman, I have a special guest in the studio with us today. This is Jay.
how you going, Jay?
Or we're calling you Jay today
Yeah,
anyway.
good. How
Well,
about
we're
you?
calling you Jay today. That works out.
Yeah.
Sorry I can't be around for this
Yeah.
for this recording, guys. It's I've unfortunately had to go to the city today and had to have the car. So I'll give a shout out to everyone. Thanks for everyone for tuning in, and thanks again for joining the Facebook page. We've had a few more people now join the Shonky Traffic Controllers, which I believe now we are over 3,000. I think we're like 3.1, 3.2 or something.
Something
So
like that. I haven't really paid attention to it lately.
yeah, it's crazy. It's actually going up. So thanks guys. Thanks for all the support. And yeah, I'm going to leave you in the trusted hands of Cranky to not get us shut down while I'm away. And shout out to On Track Meals as well. We did receive your box.
It's a bucket.
It's a bucket, the Go bucket. Yes, it is an actual
Which-
life bucket, which means it's not only got one use, it's got two uses. Because once you're done with the bucket full of food, you can store your shit in it.
I thought you were going to go in a totally different direction with that.
Well, you can also use it for the beep.
Well,
All right, guys,
well.
I'm going to leave you with that, and I shall see you on the next session. Jay, hopefully you can join us again as well. More than welcome to join us in another live as well.
Yeah, thank you. This is exciting. Something fresh and new.
Definitely is
Yeah.
fresh and new. All right, guys, I'll leave you in the trusted hands of Cranky. Take it easy. Have a safe one. I will see you on the next episode.
Yeah, drive safe, man. Have a good one.
Will do.
All right. So my friend Jay is here because he doesn't quite work in the same industry as us, but the topic of today's episode is going to be customer complaints, and I don't just mean the kind of customer that walks into Woolworths and throws a spat, and we all know her. Her name's Karen. I'm talking about the kind of customer that has real weight. Yeah, the manager of the shop you work for, the manager of the site you're working on, the big money. When a complaint comes in from them, it's going to go downhill, and it's something that you can anguish over mentally, because you always know when the complaint's going to come, and they can sometimes leave you for days before bringing it up with you. If you're really lucky, they'll bring it up with you. Sometimes they don't. They just report it straight over your head. And Jay has some experience with that. He's got some stories to tell. I don't just mean to.
Yeah, so I've had some situations where things that could have been very simple were not. Things that basically talking face to face with the people who are relevant could have resolved it then and there. But whenever you get a system where reports are made, as Ryan said, going over your head, so you're not even involved yet until the very end, the reports
Oh,
go over your head, and you're
hold on,
kind of
I
stuck
need
there
to-
looking at the situation going,
I got to interject. No names.
absolutely.
Yeah, cool,
Yeah.
cool. I can take that one out, but yeah.
So yeah, no, all good. So yeah, when reports are going over your head, and it's notoriously hard to deal with because, well, you're not aware of them, are you? So the
Yeah,
most
that's
simple
right.
way to fix something is if someone makes you aware of it at the start. And then while the problem is still small, you chat it out, you find solutions. But when they go over your head to other people, other channels, then suddenly you're bringing in more people than necessary.
Yeah.
And in my mind, it can sort of become like Chinese whispers, like it could just get worse the more people it goes through,
Mm.
rather than just
Mm.
being what it is.
And there's nothing that's really fun about receiving a phone call from HR or something, and they go, "Tell me what happened on this date," and then you're thinking like, "What? Hey, what? Oh, was that incident? Like, what's the story? What's this person told you?" Kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I
That
mean,
there are some things that you literally. Sorry.
no, I was going to say that has
Yeah.
the
You're
twofold
literally just
effect of.
going through your day.
Mm, go on, go on.
Oh no, you say the twofold effect, then I'll continue.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, everybody else. In recording, there's a bit of a delay between Jay and myself. So that's why there's a little bit of confusion. But so I was going to say that's got the twofold effect of both forcing you to remember something quickly and also putting you on the spot to try and remember all the details of the story that did take place. If you do remember them at all, even if it was something that's like in your mind was perfectly okay, and then suddenly you're getting a complaint made about it.
Yeah, yeah. And what I was going to say before was there are some things you just do in your day and you don't give it a second thought. And especially if you trust yourself as a decent human and you do your best to be respectful to everyone, you think that if you're treating people well, they'll recognize it. And so if you're just, as you say, going, hearing about something you did when you just were being yourself and you did nothing wrong, you kind of got to think back and go, what are they talking about? Why this? What's the problem here? I don't get it. But what I will say is, on the contrary, there are some situations that are very clear as well. Like they're easy to remember. So, and for the situations that are easy to remember, I'd say to people out there, write them down, write down the order of events, and what was said, what you said, what they said, and like make it a clear record of what happened, so you can, if you do have to discuss it, then you have some good ground to stand on.
Yeah. And you need to make a clear mental picture in your head. Well, that's normally where your mental pictures form, as to what happened, so that you can fight your case, as it were.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It is kind of like being in a court of law.
yeah, and it's again that that's another thing that can cause anxiety, because you're constantly going over this thing in your head that's like, okay, I need to remember every little detail. This is what happened. This is what happened. I need to rehearse the speech that I'm going to give this person while I'm defending myself to them, and hopefully they understand my actions.
True. Yeah. An approach I've I've taken has been, after writing the thing down, I actually said to the individual I needed to discuss it with, I said to them, I'm just going to read this off the piece of paper so I don't go off track or say anything out of line from what happened. So as weird as that might seem, you can't make a mistake doing it that way if you just read out exactly what you've written. So that's another approach. If it's a semi-complicated matter that you prefer to write down,
make notes. If you're lucky enough to have the luxury of knowing that you're going in for one of these meetings, I had something happen a little while ago now where I didn't even realize I was being called into the office. I was just going in for something else, right? The job had ended for the day. I called my boss and said, hey, look, have you got anything else you want me to come and do at the office? And he's like, oh, yeah, no, there's one more thing. I need you to just come up. And then I went up to the office and found myself walking into a room of about 6 people, and all of them were looking at me. And then, like, the HR manager uttered that fateful sentence, which was, have a seat.
Oh, that's like the we need to talk from women.
Yeah. It was literally like that. And I didn't even realize I'd done anything wrong that day. Like, sure, I'd been a little bit angry, but I had complied with everything that the client had asked of me. I did everything that they wanted. In fact, I even did some of the less legal things that they wanted me to do, and I tried to explain that's not how we do things. We're not allowed to do that. And that's actually what made me angry at him in the first place. He asked me to do some things that I wasn't very fond of doing because they were dangerous. And I also didn't have the paperwork to cover us doing that particular activity. And he didn't talk to me about it. He went straight over my head to the whole office. He rang everyone that he could complain to there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Complicating the matter.
Yeah, it just complicated the matter rather than maybe take a walk, have both of us cool down, because we did butt heads a lot over this. And just rather than just listening to someone who knows what they're talking about as far as the job's concerned, he blew it right up, and it ended up being found in my favor anyway, because it was fresh in my memory, and I knew exactly what I was going to say. As soon as I saw that room full of people, I was like, oh, gotta tell the story again.
Yeah, at least you mentally prepared for it, which helped.
I didn't really get time to mentally prepare for it, but as soon as I saw them, I was like, oh man, this guy's complained. Right. And then, they went, look.
Yeah. And yeah.
They were like, tell us what happened right from the off. But there's still something that's so unnerving about having 6 people in a room staring you down, well, and you feel like you're the guilty party as well.
When you've pulled that many people into it and just made it a huge deal, and you just feeling judged,
yeah
as I was saying earlier, it's one of those things that could have been much more simple. Just if he could have talked to you face to face and then left everyone else out of it, it wouldn't have traveled to the whole office, so to speak,
Or if both of us had just approached that situation with a level head in the first place, it probably couldn't have it probably wouldn't have gone that far. Like, I'll admit I was a little bit at fault as well, because both of us were cranky. Both of us just weren't having the other's proverbial shit, to be frank. It just happened to be that he was a guy with more power than I had.
Yeah. I think even when people have more power than you, because I've had situations like that, it's the truth. The truth will honestly, if people will listen to it, will fix things. If you humble yourself and apologize for what you did wrong, tell the truth about where there's misunderstandings, and just look for a solution. No one can really hold it against you. It's because you're honestly trying to help.
Yeah, well, that's true too. The truth always wins. Well, it's supposed to anyway. There are some cases where it's a kangaroo court, and they're just out to get rid of you from the company anyway. So they'll come up with any excuse to do that.
I think even if all the voices are against you, though, at least you have a clear conscience.
Yeah.
If you're honest about everything and you explain your side, yeah.
Like, if you know,
I think that's important.
It's good for the mental health. It doesn't, so if you know you're right, you're in the right, then it's not going to eat at you as much, and it's still a good thing to put on the resume for the next job.
What do you mean?
Well, if you end up getting fired from whatever job it was that formed the kangaroo court against you, if they wanted you out anyway, sometimes explaining that kind of thing to a prospective employer could be a good thing. It can work in your favor, in the way that if they're listening to you, they'll go, hey, this guy actually sticks up for himself, and he knows the law, and he knows what's right. It's just certainly that this other company that he worked for previously does not know what's right, and they just want people that are going to do the wrong thing for them.
So straight off the bat, you're giving them a good impression of someone who's confident but also wants to do the right thing.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. That's the goal. Give the impression that you've done the right thing.
And I think also the fact that you mentioned earlier about where you can admit your own fault, it shows that you're willing to learn and improve yourself, because there are no perfect humans. That means there are no perfect employees. So if you're a potential employee and you walk into an interview or anything and you say, I've never made a mistake and I'll never apologize and I will never screw up, they won't believe you.
I am the perfect man. I am a robot.
I am God's gift to your workplace.
Turn up with one of those. Have you ever seen those God's gift to women t-shirts?
No, I haven't.
There's a t-shirt. It's been around for a while now, but it's basically, the t-shirt looks like it's present wrapping. Okay, and there's a big sash across the front of it. This is all printed on. And a little label on the sash that says, "To women from God."
That's great.
You could get that, scratch out the women part and just put in your workplace.
Yes. Do it. That's fun. I like that.
Walk into that interview room like, I'm the greatest thing that ever existed.
There's only one possible drawback to it, is that you know how sometimes when people are so qualified that the people who already own the business are afraid you'll climb the ladder too quickly, and you might even replace them. That's if you were that awesome.
This is why I strongly do not. What's the word? I do not recommend doing that. There's confidence, and then there's overconfidence, and then there's arrogance.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe unless you're applying for something different than both of us do. If you're applying for something in entertainment, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, anything that has to do with acting, that'd be good. That's a good approach.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what are some stories you've got, James? Jay, sorry, I'll wipe that one out as well. I'll put a marker on the track.
So something I faced where I had to take a stand was I was accused of treating a customer poorly in my I can say this, I guess, cleaning duties, and then the report was sent off before I even knew it existed, and so later on I find out about it. I get a call from my employers saying, "Hey, what happened? We heard something about a customer," and I said to my employer, well, what actually happened was I just finished mopping, and I was looking at the floor. A customer walked in with muddy boots, and the mud was going everywhere. And as I said, I just finished mopping, and then the customer looked at me and said, "I better take these off." So the customer took off their boots voluntarily. A bit later on, because I'm the type of person that likes to make sure that the business has a good reputation, I mean, the business I clean for, I went up to the customer and I said, "Hey, I hope I didn't come across as rude or anything." He said, No, you didn't seem rude. If I just finished mopping, and someone walked in with muddy boots like mine, I'd be annoyed too. And that was all it was, you know. It was just him volunteering to take his boots off, but that's not what the report said. The report that got sent over my head, it said that I told the customer to take their boots off. And if I did that, I would be a major league douchebag, because, you know, I'm not any authority there. I'm just cleaning, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And yeah. Whereas if someone had just talked to me early on in the piece and said, "Hey, what was the deal with that?" then I could have explained, "Oh yeah, he volunteered to take the boots off. I didn't ask him to."
Yeah.
And because one of the tricky things here was they made an assumption. They didn't witness the interaction. So when I discussed this, when it finally got back to me, when I discussed it with who it was most relevant to, the person in the workplace, I explained that these people who made the report didn't witness the event.
Yeah.
So their report is unreliable. So in that, I did my best not to accuse anyone, not to look down on anyone or say anything bad about them. I tried to explain the report basically wasn't reliable, and that I would never be rude to a customer. And in standing that ground, this situation worked out well. And the person said, "Well, I wasn't there," because this person also wasn't there that I was talking to. "I wasn't there, but I'll take that as the order of events." So kind of like how you won your thing where 6 people were in the room, I won that situation, which I was happy about. But it can be frustrating though. You kind of you kind of got to put your feelings aside and just stick to the facts when it comes to stuff like that.
Mm. Well, you do, and it can be quite frustrating, like you said. It can be really annoying, especially if the person that it happened to didn't actually make a complaint. It sounds like the person that made the complaint had very little, if anything, to actually do with the situation at all.
Exactly. Yeah. They were unaware of the true context and they jumped to conclusions.
Yeah, yeah. I hate when that happens. It's like that old
Mm.
jump to conclusions Matt out of the movie Office Space.
Okay, I haven't heard of that. I've
Have
heard of
you?
Office Space, but not that. The Matt.
Um, it's just one scene where one of the characters gets run over by a car, so he gets a mad workers' comp payout, and he invests it in this toy, right, that he's making called it's just a mat that you lay on the floor,
Mhm.
and it's got different conclusions written down on it, and you can jump to conclusions. That's it.
I like it. Sounds fun. Yeah. It reminds me of though it's not exactly the same.
Mm.
The Mystery Men movie, if you remember that, with Ben Stiller in it.
Mystery Men. Yeah,
It's a
vaguely.
superhero film. Yeah. Well, one of the weapons on Mystery
Mm.
Men was the blame thrower, where if you shot someone with it, they'd start to blame their teammate for all the things they do wrong. I thought that was
Oh,
great.
oh, that's
Yeah,
bad. I'd forgotten about that. I'm gonna have to watch that again.
it's
I'll
an
see if I,
excellent movie.
I'll see if I can find it on one of the streaming services or something like that. Hey, if anybody else
Yeah.
knows where I can watch where I can watch Mystery Men, let us know in the comments afterwards, because Spotify, which I use to upload these episodes, does allow you to put up comments. I found out it allows you to comment on episodes.
Funky.
Yeah, it is. uh, well, that's the thing. I've got a couple of other instances. This was in traffic control a few years ago. I was riding on the back of a vehicle that we call a pod truck, and this one was legitimate. This one was deserved, but again, it comes down to the person not actually. Hello, the baby has just appeared at my elbow with a jar of pseudo cream.
I see. Yeah.
So this one is another one of those instances where they didn't approach me; they just went over my head, and it actually got me fired from that job in the end. But I was riding on the back of a pod truck, which is a vehicle that you're supposed to ride on the back of, because the traffic controller sits on the back of the truck. There's a little normally a little seat of some description built in there, and then you, as the traffic controller, reach over the edge of the truck and put the cones down on the motorway. Right, these things are almost always used on motorways or main roads. So in this case, it was used on a main road, a multi-lane, big wide road. It's about 3 lanes at this point. But for some reason, I wasn't using the tether. No, you're supposed to have a tether that attaches from your harness to the back of the truck somewhere, and I'd forgotten about it. I was just sitting there on the back of the truck, putting the witches' hats down. I had not even realized that someone had from the contracting company had driven past and seen me doing that. So it's the end of the day. I'm looking forward to going home, and my boss gives me a call and says, come into the office. I need to talk to you about something. And I was like, what? What's going on? You know? So, like I said before, this is an incident that lost me my job. Because he pulled me in there and said, listen, you were spotted riding the back of this truck without any safety devices, really. What do you have to say about that? And I
Yeah.
was like, I have to say that I'm an idiot. That's my only defense. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to bother lying about it because he obviously already knows the truth. So yeah, even with the stuff that's the truth or stuff that could be quite serious, some of these guys will just go over your head. When how hard would it have been for the guy to just roll his window down as he went past and say, hey, put your harness on. Put your tether on. I had the harness on, not
Exactly.
the tether.
Yeah.
Instead, he blew it up. It cost me a job.
Especially if it's to do with immediate least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if it's to do with immediate safety as well.
Like,
if something happened, that person could have saved your life.
That's it, yeah. Instead of letting me complete the job like that and then reporting me, he could have rectified the situation straight away by just letting me know that I'd forgotten it.
Yeah.
Well, hey.
I thought of a story before.
Yeah.
Sorry. What were you going to say?
No. You go on. Tell the story.
Yeah. It's tied to. Okay. Yep. So it's tied to my days at. No, I won't name businesses.
No, that's all right.
It's so long ago, it probably doesn't matter. But I'll just explain the situation. Yeah. So, no, I mean the name. That probably wouldn't matter if I. Point is to help people here. So I used to work for I'll just say fast food place. And people can, try and figure it out if they want. But yeah, it's a circumstance. And I forget what the circumstance was. As I said, it was a long time ago. And there was one person did something wrong. And instead, this one person, when we were all called for a meeting, a work meeting, everyone was told, everybody needs to be aware of ABC because we can't have this happening. We're not naming names or anything. We're not pointing out any individuals. Everybody is just being lectured about this. Here's me getting cynical. Everyone is being lectured about this because one person was an idiot. And I hate it how businesses do that, where they come along and say, we're going to, instead of just talking to the individual and fixing it, we're going to put this on everyone else, and everyone else has to stop what they're doing, even if they're not stupid enough to make this mistake. They have to stop and listen as if they were part of it, whilst the individual gets to sit there and feel all safe, safe from criticism. I think if you're an adult or even just a young adult and you're in the workspace, you need to be able to take constructive criticism if it will help your job get better, as long as it's done in a good way.
And sometimes pulling the whole company together to attack one person, even if you're not saying their name, is not a good way to deal with that.
Yeah. It could be that some people knew who it was that did it. And it's kind of, it falls into the category of punishing the whole team when it's an individual problem. And I just don't think that's right. Me being a more face-to-face person, I would talk to the individual.
By the way, I will say this, since I know who the manager in question was, I'll just say you do her voice really well.
I wasn't even trying. I wasn't aware I was doing an imitation.
It's almost scary how well you copy her.
Wow. Just that must have scarred me, frustrated me, and scarred me enough to lock it in there.
Oh man! For anyone who's interested, Jay and I used to work at the same branch of this fast food joint, and that manager used to give both of us nightmares.
Toxic.
And then to make it worse, I lost my job. I didn't lose that job, sorry. I quit that job. And then she must have quit shortly after I did, because she then started working at the employment agency that I was going through. It's like, I can't escape this woman. Why?
Maybe she just missed you that much.
Oh, I hope not.
I wouldn't want to be missed by her ever. Yeah. Not the worst I've worked for, but far from the best. So yeah.
Yeah. At least she ran a tight ship, but I think that's just because everyone was shit scared of her.
Yeah.
I think everyone had this mentality that it was
But
like, oh,
there
I
is-
do not want an entire staff meeting dedicated to me.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, great. Here comes another staff Christmas party with nothing but solo and team building exercises.
I don't even remember any of them, but I think they might have happened.
I don't think you ever went to them, but I did, and man, was it a mistake.
Okay. The first thing I think of when I think of team meetings is trust falls, and trust falls failing. That's what I think of.
I'm pretty sure that's what they used to make us do.
Like that sort of thing, team building. Yeah.
But you know
But
what?
isn't it funny when they don't catch you? It defeats the whole.
I don't get that. Like,
Yeah.
the whole purpose of trust falls is to learn that you can trust your team, right? But does it really count as trust if the person's being forced to do it?
It's more like obligation.
Yeah,
It's
it's
especially if you don't like the person.
an obligation fall.
Yeah, and we all have people we work with that do your job or you're fired. Now catch these people with trust falls for an hour.
What they should really do to test how much you can trust your team members is to have someone randomly lay on the floor in the middle of the staff meeting room before everyone comes in and just coat their leg in fake blood and put a first aid kit somewhere in the room and see who runs out of the room and who runs in to help. That is how you know who you can trust at work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It reminds me of the Captain America movie where they throw out the dummy grenade, and before Steve Rogers gets all beefed up, he jumps on the grenade to save everyone. And they're like, "That's the dude we trust." Yeah. I think more businesses should do that. Plus, it would allow, because I enjoy acting and stuff, so it would allow people to employ a bit of acting into their job, making it a bit more fun, at least at the team building exercises.
It used to be
And
really fun. It used to be really fun with scouts. I'll say that much.
yeah, I never did scouts as a kid.
Yeah, I did. And part of the first aid training was you would get someone to actually do themselves up like they're injured, like put a bit of fake blood on them, maybe um, maybe take a leg out of one of the legs of pants and just replace it with a massive broken stick, so it felt like a broken leg, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think
Anyway.
that kind of thing could be fun.
It is fun. Sorry, what were you saying? I cut you off before. You're saying it could be fun to get some acting involved in the staff meetings, I think.
Yeah, because knowing how in drama at high school, acting brings a group together, I think that's something that places, because businesses talk about how they like to be creative with drawing their people together. I think a lot of their ideas suck, but maybe if they did some. But when I think a place I worked for did some acting scenarios of problem solving with customers. So one person had to act as the grumpy customer, and one person had to act as the employee who was dealing with the customer, and just acting, and it's like an icebreaker. You can break the ice, people let down their walls, and then they start to really feel more comfortable and probably understand the people around them better.
Yeah, that's true. I always had fun with that. And you can tell that some of those women that carry on, not just women, men too, that carry on at supermarkets definitely didn't have to do that because they have never been in the opposite person's shoes.
Yeah. You mean those people that just look like they don't want to be at work? And or the people you ask a question.
The ones you see them on TikTok or YouTube, those clips of people just acting like toddlers in supermarkets, screaming and abusing people and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
and they make themselves.
You never had to do the school drama class role switch, did you?
Yeah, and then they make themselves look even worse by putting it online, and then people just make a joke out of them. And they think they're getting viral for being cool, but they're viral for being an idiot.
They're viral for being evil. You know what? The ones that really make me laugh are the ones that they like mid tantrum, this middle-aged woman, and she'll scream, "I am a good Christian woman," and you're like, "No, you're not."
Not with a temper like that. It's just it's the equivalent of people saying, "I'm not yelling, you're yelling, you started this. I'm not losing my temper, I'm not getting emotional."
Yeah.
And they're so into their own feelings that they don't even realize they're raising their voice. And so when you point it out to them, you're yelling at me. No, I'm not.
I'm not the one that's getting upset here. Yeah, you are. But anyway, tell me more about how you're not.
Yeah.
Well, I believe it's time to mention some of the show's sponsors, Jay. I don't think I've introduced you to them before.
Right.
We're going to mention the smaller ones first. So if you're over in Mandurah, over there in WA, this is normally one that Swagman does because it's one of his local shops. Go over to Simo's Butchery over there at Lakelands. They do a good cut from what I'm told. The other smaller one, and we still haven't been able to figure out an affiliate program for this one, has been Bello Bliss. Now, Jay, I don't know if you've ever heard of these things. They are shower steamers.
Okay.
And specifically,
Tell me more.
What they do, right, is they come in a little packet. You hang the little packet in your shower. I think you get a pack of about 100. So it's 10 packs of 10 that you get in a box, right? You get all sorts of scents. They're like vanilla. There's lavender if you have trouble sleeping, chamomile, that kind of thing. Hang them in the shower, and they steam. Well, with the shower steam anyway, and they clear sinuses. They help reprogram your circadian rhythms if you're having trouble sleeping, or in my case, I have a deviated septum, which is what really helps with clearing out the actual nasal passages for that. Like Jay, you probably would have noticed every couple of minutes I'd do this particular pose, pulling my nostril open like that. That's exactly what that is. I have a deviated septum. My actual nose bone is crooked. It's like a hockey stick.
Yeah. Okay.
And if I don't have something to sort of free that up and make some space in my nose, it can make sleeping very difficult because eventually throughout the night I will just stop breathing. So Bella
that's an issue.
helps me out a bit with that. One that we do have an affiliate code for, and you get a really good discount. You get a 10% discount, is, as Swagman mentioned before, On Track Meals. Now, I was meant to do this unboxing with Swagman, but it's going to be even more fun introducing somebody totally new to it. So, Jay, do you know what an MRE is?
No, I thought MRI, but
It's
no, I don't know what an MRE is.
basically what. Hey,
I don't know what an MRE is. No.
essentially, it's what the military eat. It's a ration pack meal ready to eat. Okay.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
what these guys have done, right? You get your meal in its little sachet, and I'll show you like a bunch of them in a minute. So don't worry, you don't have to use your imagination too much.
Yeah.
Stick it in what's called a flameless ration heater, which in this company's case is a bag that's about the size of an A4 sheet of paper. You unwrap your little heating element that they give you, which is just a little white pouch with some chemicals in it. I don't know the exact makeup. I know it's got some what's it called? The one that goes all fizzy. Anyway, phosphate. Yeah, that kind of thing.
So, yeah.
You put that in there. You put a little bit of water, maybe it's about 60 mils. I really mean a little bit of water. 12 minutes later, you have a cooked dinner, a delicious cooked dinner. Like, these things aren't screwing around. They taste wonderful. They are my absolute favorite things to eat when I'm on site. As I've mentioned in quite a few episodes before, they are incredible if you are on a night shift, because especially if you're a road worker, you quite often get sent out to places that don't have 24-hour shops open at night. And it can be quite difficult to come across places that serve dinner, especially at midnight. So, like, a fair amount of the time, I'll pack my own dinner. But sometimes, if it's a winter night, you want something that's going to be hot. So I bring one of these. This particular product is called the 3-Day Go Bucket. It has enough food in there to feed you for 3 days. That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I pulled it up on the camera for you earlier, but this is for everybody else. That's the On Track Meals 3-Day Go Bucket. This thing's huge, right? So I'm going to go through what's inside it because they've told me that I have to. First of all, it's a challenge to open, and the box itself weighs about 2.5 to 3 kilos. So it's really something you take on your 4-wheel drive adventures or just store in the work ute. You can't carry it in a backpack. Okay. And you're going to see why soon. Like, this thing is stuffed chockers with food. Okay.
Nice.
The only problem I found with it is that it doesn't have as far as snacks are concerned, you only get 6 packs of Chief Biltong, which isn't too bad. I actually like the Chief Biltong. They treat you well, but it would be nice to have some variety. However, I'm not complaining. It's just some constructive criticism to the company. I've actually already emailed them about this, and they've taken it into consideration because apparently I have some sort of pull. Now, what's something you can't eat without, Jay?
Sorry, something I can't eat without.
Something you can't eat without.
What do you mean? Can't eat without.
Well, you're going to have a rough time eating without cutlery, so they've given you a whole shitload of it.
Oh, yes.
Oh, there's
I
one.
would
There's
say
one more.
the absolute extreme answer to that is fingers. I can't eat without fingers.
I've seen people do it with toes.
Okay.
But to be fair, that guy straight up didn't have any arms, so, you know.
That's fair. Yeah.
This is something that I've been, like, what I'm going to pull out of this bucket next is something that I've been excited to try. And now that I'm doing this unboxing, I think I'll try some of this tomorrow. They give you 6 Dog and Gun pre-filtered coffee packs. Now that comes with, I'll read the back of it because I've never heard of Dog and Gun before, so I presume everyone listening hasn't heard of them either. Our single-serve pour-over drip filters are the most convenient way to brew anywhere, anytime, preloaded with cafe-quality coffee and sealed for freshness. All you need is a mug to hang them on and the ability to boil water. So essentially what's inside this is like a big tea bag full of coffee.
Yeah. Okay.
So you hang it from the handle
Do
of
they
the
do
mug.
teas?
Do they do teas? Quite possibly,
Yeah.
but I mean, you can generally pack your own tea. It comes in bags already.
Yeah.
And you
It does already. Yeah.
You get 6 of them, so that's 2 for every one of your 3 days. But as with all on-track meals, they deliberately overstock these things, so you can probably, if you're going to be living off it and surviving off it in the bush, you could probably expand this out to about 10 days. And you'll see why in a sec, Jay. So, of course, you can't cook these without flameless ration heaters. The actual bags.
They sound super cool.
They are
No,
cool.
Opposite pun intended.
I'm going to upload a video soon of myself using one of these because they've asked me to do that too. I've used these many times. I absolutely love on-track meals. Like I would not promote something that I didn't absolutely love. So yeah, you got 2 more bags of flameless ration heaters. Okay. And now for the pièce de résistance, the meals. They give you 12 meals. Like I said, it's 3 meals a day for 3 days. Well, actually, and 1 extra. They give you 4 meals a day, I think. So for the dinners, you get 3 lots of one of my absolute favorite ones, which is the tender lamb and pearl barley. I had to remember which way around it was because I was thinking pearl barley and tender lamb. Anyway, same thing. Then to go with that, because you can't just eat that by itself, you got to have pumpkin and potato mash. Now these can be
making me hungry.
And none of this is powdered. None of this is like freeze dried or any of that stuff. These are all freshly made and then vacuum sealed. So they've got a shelf life of about 2 years. Now, they've chucked in 3 different lunches. Right. So you get a little bit of variety in that way. The lunches that I got are the sweet and sour pork. I don't know if you can see that because my studio light's a little bit bright. But anyway, sweet and sour pork, you get beef bolognese. Let me see if I can. No, that is not helping. Yeah.
I can see that one a bit better. Yeah.
Beef-
So when
beef-
you cast a bit of shade on it.
Mm. And then the mild chili con carne. So I'll tell you this much.
Chili.
It's actually pretty good. These guys haven't just randomly chucked in chili and they're like, it's supposed to be hot, we'll just make it hot. No, they actually make the heat part. They make the heat part of the flavor like a true chef should. And all of these meals all of these meals taste fantastic. Like some days or some nights, if I'm working nights, I actually look forward to the times that I don't have lunch prepared, because then I'm like, oh, cool, I get to have an on-track meal. I get to actually eat something that's really tasty and just generally good. So I've gone through the dinners, I've gone through the lunches. Now we're going to go through the breakfasts. So you get all three of these are the same, the breakfasts. It's all what they call the all-day breakfast. I wonder if I can put it over there. And I'll tell you what this contains.
Yep. I can see that for a sec. Yep.
So the all-day breakfast has chorizo, hang on a sec. Because on the back here they list the ingredients and then they list all of the ingredients. So I'm trying to work my way through that. So you got the chorizo, which they've listed with pork, salt, spices, and so on. Potatoes, smoked speck, tomato pulp, tomato puree, champignon mushrooms, cooked red kidney beans, water, red onions, canola oil, and some sort of starch. Which all in all makes a fairly decent tasting breakfast. Champignon, yeah, the French ones.
I mispronounced it. I said champion.
No.
Champion mushrooms.
And then last but not least, we have Ray's. Now, do you know what Ray's is, Jay? Not
No.
Not the light beams that come down from the sun. I mean,
I did think about that.
The money saving aid, or their micro investing company. Now, how much do you like free money?
Well, I think it's pretty good. It's up there with free lasagna. Yeah,
it's pretty up there.
I like it a lot.
Excuse me, with free lasagna. So, when you open your first Ray's account, they will match your first $5 investment with $5. So you get $5 for free. And all you got to do is use the invite code VWFJ77. That being said, I should probably tell you where to get on-track meals from too, right? That
would be very useful.
It would be. It totally slipped my mind. I got too excited about all the food. But it's ontrackmeals. Yeah, ontrackmeals.com.au/in-the-zone. Or if you just want to go to ontrackmeals.com.au, at the checkout, you can type in the phrase "in the zone 10," all capital letters 10, to get a 10% discount. Yeah, and that's on top of any sales or any other discounts that they've got on the actual store. So you can save a pretty decent amount of money.
That's cool. Stacking savings.
Yeah. But anyway, without Swagman's super talkativeness, I think we might make that it for this week. What do you think, Mr. J?
Well, I think I think it's been pretty good, and yeah, I'm not sure what else I would add to the topic at this point.
Well, how have you felt about our conversation so far?
Yeah, felt good. I already knew it would be natural, so that wasn't a problem. And I hope it helps people. You know, I hope it encourages people to stand up for themselves, and also to be honest and seek to be a better version of themselves as well. You know.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, if complaints do get made about you by the customer, it's always helpful to be honest. The truth will come out eventually anyway.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where
better just
if you try to lie about it, you're just going to make it worse for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think just be confidently respectful.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it has been,
and
it's been amazing catching up with you again, mate. I hope to talk to you again soon. All right.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah.